The mind is a powerful force. It's the battlefield where the greatest struggles of life unfold. On this battlefield, victory or defeat is determined long before any external conflict takes place. Every thought, every decision, every choice we make begins here, in the mind. The challenges we face, the obstacles we must overcome, they all start with how we perceive the world and ourselves. Our thoughts shape our actions, and our actions shape our destiny. If we let negative thoughts dominate our minds, it will be impossible to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. The mind is a fertile ground, but it's up to us what we choose to plant and nurture within it. If we feed it fear, doubt, and bitterness, that's what will grow. But if we feed it faith, hope, and resilience, we will begin to see a transformation that reflects the strength we cultivate within. It's easy to become overwhelmed by the noise of the world around us, opinions, distractions, and fears that threaten to take hold of our minds. But remember, what you focus on expands. The mind is a lens through which we view the world. If we allow it to be clouded with negativity, everything will appear dark. But when we shift our focus to hope, perseverance, and the belief that we are capable of great things, the world begins to open up in ways we never imagined. Victory on the battlefield of the mind requires discipline. It requires the courage to guard your thoughts and to be intentional about what you allow to enter your mind. Just like any soldier, we must be vigilant, constantly on the lookout for the enemy forces that seek to destroy our peace and purpose. We can't afford to be passive. We must choose our thoughts carefully, for they will dictate our actions and ultimately our fate. Every day is an opportunity to choose the right mindset, to build the mental strength needed to overcome adversity. It may not always be easy, and there will be times when doubt creeps in, but remember, the battle is not lost until we surrender it. Strength is found not in the absence of fear or difficulty, but in the perseverance to continue forward despite them. The mind is indeed the battleground, but it is also where the greatest victories are won. Choose to fight for your peace, your joy, and your purpose. The battles you win in your mind will echo in every area of your life, shaping the person you become and the legacy you leave behind. The mind is a powerful and complex force that governs every aspect of our lives. It is where the battles of life are first fought, long before they manifest in the physical world. Every decision we make, every challenge we face, and every triumph or defeat begins in the mind. It is within the confines of our thoughts that we form our beliefs, attitudes, and perceptions about ourselves and the world around us. These mental processes are the foundation for our actions, and ultimately, they shape the reality we experience. When we understand that the mind is the battlefield, we recognize that the thoughts we allow to take root in our minds will dictate the course of our lives. Negative thoughts such as fear, doubt, and insecurity are like intruders that attempt to invade the space of our mind, undermining our confidence and ability to take action. These thoughts can paralyze us, preventing us from moving forward and achieving our goals. On the other hand, positive thoughts such as hope, determination, and self-belief have the power to strengthen our resolve and propel us towards success. This constant battle between positive and negative thoughts is not always easy to recognize, especially when we are caught in the chaos of life. The external world constantly bombards us with messages that can influence the way we think. Media, social interactions, past experiences, and even our own self-talk can fill our minds with doubt or encourage us to strive for greatness. But ultimately, it is up to us to decide which thoughts we will allow to dominate our mental space. The mind, much like any battlefield, requires strategy, discipline, and vigilance. It is not enough to passively observe our thoughts. We must actively guard against the ones that would lead us astray. We must take responsibility for the mental environment we create, just as a general must carefully plan and defend their territory. It's important to recognize that the mind is not a passive space. It is a dynamic force that can either serve us or sabotage us, depending on how we manage it. When we cultivate awareness of the thoughts we entertain, we begin to realize how much power we have over our own lives. By consciously choosing to focus on empowering thoughts and rejecting the negative ones, we can begin to transform our internal world. This transformation will inevitably reflect in our actions, our relationships, and the way we approach challenges. The mind truly is the battleground where our future is decided, and it is within our power to shape the outcome. Our thoughts are not just fleeting ideas. They are powerful forces that shape our actions, behaviors, and ultimately the course of our lives. The connection between thoughts and actions is undeniable. What we think influences what we do. In fact, every action we take begins as a thought. The way we view ourselves, the world, and our capabilities stems directly from the thoughts we entertain. If we harbor negative thoughts, they are likely to lead us into negative actions. Similarly, when our minds are filled with positive and empowering thoughts, we are more likely to take actions that align with growth, success, and fulfillment. For example, consider someone who constantly battles feelings of self-doubt. If their mind is dominated by thoughts of inadequacy, fear of failure, or thoughts of not being good enough, these thoughts will inevitably influence how they behave. They might avoid taking risks, procrastinate, or fail to seize opportunities because their mind has convinced them they are not capable. In this case, their actions reflect the limitations their thoughts have imposed on them, preventing them from moving forward or reaching their full potential. On the other hand, a person who cultivates thoughts of confidence, self-worth, and perseverance is likely to take more positive, proactive actions. They believe in their ability to overcome challenges and succeed, and this belief fuels their efforts. When faced with obstacles, they view them as temporary setbacks rather than insurmountable barriers, and they approach solutions with a sense of determination. The way they think enables them to act in ways that lead to personal growth, achievement, and success. Moreover, thoughts often serve as a filter through which we interpret the world. Our perception of situations, people, and events is influenced by the mental narrative we create. For example, someone who consistently thinks that the world is against them will see even the most benign challenges as personal attacks. On the other hand, someone who maintains a mindset of gratitude and positivity will interpret those same challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. This shift in perception profoundly impacts how we respond to situations, driving us to either withdraw and avoid or to engage and take action. Therefore, if we want to change the direction of our lives, we must start with changing our thoughts. Changing our thought patterns is not a simple task, but it is one of the most powerful ways to change the way we act. It requires intention and discipline, but with practice we can retrain our minds to think in ways that serve us rather than hinder us. By consciously choosing to focus on thoughts that support our goals and aspirations, we lay the foundation for actions that will lead to a more fulfilled and successful life. Guarding the mind is one of the most critical responsibilities we have in life. Our thoughts, like precious treasures, are vulnerable to outside forces that seek to steal or destroy them. Just as we would protect our physical space, our homes, or our loved ones, we must be equally vigilant in guarding the mental space that shapes our lives. The mind is a battleground, and if we are not intentional about what we allow to enter and take root in it, we can easily fall victim to negative influences that erode our peace and purpose. The external world is filled with constant distractions and influences that can pollute our minds. The media, social platforms, and even the people we interact with daily can often push us toward negativity, fear, and doubt. News cycles bombard us with stories of crisis and conflict. Social media inundates us with images of unattainable perfection, and conversations with others can sometimes plant seeds of worry or insecurity. All of these external forces compete for our attention, and if we are not careful, they can infiltrate our minds and influence the way we think and feel. Guarding the mind means recognizing when these external influences are seeping in and taking control. It's about being discerning and selective about what we expose ourselves to and how much of it we allow to impact us. For example, spending hours consuming negative news can cloud our judgment, filling us with anxiety and hopelessness. Constantly comparing ourselves to the seemingly perfect lives of others on social media can lead to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. These outside forces, while often beyond our control, can have a profound impact on the way we view ourselves and the world, and we must guard against allowing them to dominate our mental space. To effectively guard our minds, we must take an active role in what we allow to influence us. This requires self-awareness and discipline. It involves setting boundaries on the amount of time spent on negative influences, curating the content we consume, and surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and inspire us rather than those who bring us down. It's about creating an environment that supports positive thinking, personal growth, and mental well-being. In addition to protecting ourselves from negative influences, guarding the mind also means protecting it from our own destructive thoughts. We all have an inner voice that speaks to us, and sometimes that voice can be critical, judgmental, or filled with self-doubt. It's important to recognize when this voice is not serving us and to challenge its validity. Negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, and fear-based thoughts can sabotage our progress and prevent us from reaching our potential. Guarding our minds means standing up to these thoughts and replacing them with ones that are more constructive and empowering. It's also essential to practice mindfulness and self-care to protect our mental space. Engaging in activities that promote mental clarity, relaxation, and peace, such as meditation, exercise, journaling, or spending time in nature, can help us maintain a healthy mental environment. Regularly checking in with ourselves and taking time to reflect on our thoughts can help us identify any harmful patterns and correct them before they take hold. Ultimately, guarding the mind is a continuous practice. It's not a one-time effort, but a lifelong commitment to protecting the mental space that drives our actions and shapes our lives. By being intentional about what we allow to influence our thoughts and taking steps to foster a positive, empowering mental environment, we can ensure that our minds remain strong, resilient, and focused on the things that truly matter. The way we focus our thoughts has a profound impact on how we perceive the world and how we respond to the challenges and opportunities that arise in our lives. Focus in many ways acts as a lens through which we interpret our experiences, just like adjusting the focus on a camera. When we shift our mental focus, we change the clarity and depth of the picture we see. The world doesn't change, but our perception of it does, and this shift in perception can be transformative. What we choose to focus on expands in our lives. This is a key principle that can either empower us or limit us. When we focus on negativity, fear, or doubt, those feelings intensify. A person who constantly worries about what could go wrong may find themselves trapped in a cycle of anxiety. Every potential problem or setback becomes a mountain, and the weight of these imagined challenges can become overwhelming. In such a mindset, it's easy to miss the opportunities that lie just beyond the fear. By focusing on what might fail, we blind ourselves to what could succeed. The mind becomes consumed by the very things we fear, and instead of moving forward, we hesitate, procrastinate, or retreat. In essence, focusing on the negative creates more negativity. On the flip side, when we choose to focus on the positive aspects of life, our minds are more likely to seek out solutions, opportunities, and growth. Shifting focus to hope, possibility, and resilience enables us to approach challenges with a mindset of overcoming rather than avoiding. For instance, someone who is facing a difficult situation but chooses to focus on the lessons it might teach or the strength it could build in them is likely to emerge from the experience with a greater sense of purpose and growth. This mental shift can turn even the most difficult of circumstances into a stepping stone toward greater achievements. Focus also dictates our emotional experience. When we focus on gratitude, for example, our emotional landscape transforms. Instead of ruminating on what we don't have or what is wrong, we begin to appreciate the abundance already present in our lives. This shift in focus leads to greater satisfaction and contentment regardless of external circumstances. Similarly, by focusing on love, compassion, and connection, we enrich our relationships and foster an environment of warmth and understanding. Our ability to focus also plays a significant role in how we pursue our goals. Success in any area of life requires concentration and sustained attention. Without focus, we become scattered, distracted, and unfocused. Goals seem distant, and progress feels slow. But when we lock our focus on a clear vision and take deliberate steps toward it, we create momentum. Our minds are powerful enough to block out distractions, to filter out what does not align with our purpose, and to concentrate on what truly matters. Whether it's professional aspirations, personal growth, or relationships, focus is the bridge between intention and action. However, focus is not just about the positive. It's about being intentional with where we direct our energy. It's easy to become consumed by external distractions, whether it's social media, work pressures, or personal issues that prevent us from focusing on what truly matters. The key is not simply to focus on the good, but to focus on the right things, the things that align with our values, our goals, and our deeper sense of purpose. When we direct our focus inward to the things that nurture our growth, we create a powerful momentum that propels us forward. In a world full of distractions and overwhelming choices, cultivating focus is a skill that requires practice and discipline. The mind, by nature, is easily pulled in different directions. We live in an age where constant stimulation is at our fingertips, and it takes a conscious effort to keep our focus clear and strong. Yet, when we develop the ability to focus intentionally, we not only improve our productivity and effectiveness, but we also enhance our emotional well-being, our relationships, and our overall quality of life. By choosing where we place our mental energy, we can create the life we want. When we focus on growth, positivity, and the possibilities ahead, we allow ourselves to expand into the best version of who we are meant to be. The more we practice focus, the sharper our mental clarity becomes, and the more confident we grow in our ability to navigate the world with purpose and strength. Victory on the battlefield of the mind is not something that happens by accident. It requires discipline, an ongoing, conscious effort to shape the mental environment that governs our thoughts and actions. Discipline is not about forcing ourselves into rigid patterns or suppressing natural emotions. Rather, it is the commitment to act in alignment with our goals and values, despite the inevitable distractions, challenges, and setbacks that life throws our way. It is the ability to consistently choose actions that serve our greater purpose, even when our minds may try to steer us in a different direction. The mind is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it requires proper handling. Without discipline, our minds can easily fall prey to impulses, irrational fears, or distractions that derail us from our path. When we allow negative thoughts, self-doubt, or procrastination to take over, we become reactive rather than proactive. We begin to react to life's challenges based on emotions or fears rather than choosing responses that are intentional and in line with our goals. It is in these moments of weakness, when the mind tries to convince us to give in to negativity, that discipline is crucial. It is in those moments that we must actively choose to rise above and take control of our mental space. Discipline in this context means being able to take a step back and assess our thoughts and reactions. It means understanding that our emotions, while powerful, are not always reliable indicators of truth. It requires us to question the narratives we tell ourselves and to confront the negative limiting beliefs that may be holding us back. For instance, when faced with a challenge, the disciplined mind will not immediately default to fear or doubt, but will instead pause and assess the situation logically, focusing on what can be done and how to move forward. This kind of mental discipline is not something that happens overnight. It requires consistent practice and patience. Another aspect of mental discipline is the ability to avoid mental clutter. The mind is constantly bombarded by thoughts, ideas, and external stimuli, and without discipline, it can easily become cluttered with distractions that prevent us from focusing on what really matters. In a world where distractions are constantly vying for our attention, mental discipline means setting boundaries to protect our focus. This could involve setting specific times for work, relaxation, or even for quiet reflection. It might mean limiting the amount of time spent on social media or avoiding negative news cycles that can cloud our thinking. The disciplined mind understands that not every thought or stimulus is worth engaging with, and it consciously chooses what it will allow in. Moreover, mental discipline extends beyond just resisting distractions. It is also about consistently training the mind to adopt positive, empowering thought patterns. It means cultivating habits of gratitude, mindfulness, and self-compassion that elevate our thinking. Just as physical discipline requires exercise to build strength, mental discipline requires consistent practice to develop resilience and clarity. This might include practices such as meditation, journaling, or affirmations, activities that encourage us to focus our minds on growth, possibility, and gratitude. Through these practices, we can retrain our minds to recognize opportunity rather than obstacle, and to embrace challenges as chances for growth rather than sources of fear. Discipline is also about making decisions in the present moment that align with our future aspirations. It's easy to give in to temporary pleasures, distractions, or comforts that provide immediate gratification but ultimately detract from long-term goals. The disciplined mind, however, looks beyond momentary temptations and remains focused on the bigger picture. This can involve making small daily choices, such as prioritizing a workout over watching TV, working on a project rather than procrastinating, or practicing self-care even when we feel tired. Each of these decisions may seem insignificant on its own, but over time they accumulate into the life we are building. Another key aspect of discipline in the battle for mental victory is consistency. It's not enough to practice mental discipline sporadically or when it's convenient. True mental strength is built through consistent effort, day in and day out. This means showing up for ourselves even when motivation wanes, and maintaining a mindset of growth even in difficult circumstances. Consistency breeds confidence and strength. When we consistently choose to guard our thoughts, to focus on what serves us, and to practice mental resilience, we slowly start to transform our mental landscape. Lastly, mental discipline is about patience. We must remember that change takes time, and the process of building a disciplined mind doesn't happen overnight. There will be days when we slip up or when the negative thoughts seem overwhelming. But discipline is not about perfection. It's about the commitment to try again, to keep practicing, and to be kind to ourselves along the way. Even when we face setbacks or challenges, the disciplined mind understands that these are not failures, but part of the process of growth. Through each experience, we learn, adapt, and strengthen our resolve. In conclusion, mental discipline is the foundation upon which victory in the battle of the mind is built. It requires constant effort, a willingness to learn, and the ability to stay focused on our long-term goals. It is a practice that shapes not only our thoughts, but also our actions, determining how we navigate the world, how we face challenges, and how we ultimately create the life we desire. Through discipline, we take control of our minds and, by extension, our destiny. The mind plays a central role in shaping the trajectory of our lives. It is in our minds that we cultivate the thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes that inform the choices we make each day. These choices, in turn, directly affect the course of our actions, our relationships, and the outcomes we experience. Our thoughts act as the blueprint for everything we do, and as we think, so we become. The battles we fight within our minds ultimately shape our future, for what we nurture and hold on to in our thoughts determines who we will become. When we understand the mind's power, we realize that it is not an isolated force. It is connected to every aspect of our lives. The way we think influences how we respond to adversity, how we pursue our goals, and how we relate to others. If we allow our minds to be overtaken by negativity, self-doubt, and limiting beliefs, we create a future defined by fear, hesitation, and missed opportunities. On the other hand, when we choose to foster a mindset of growth, possibility, and resilience, we open ourselves to a future full of potential and achievement. The mind is the foundation upon which the rest of our lives are built, and it is up to us to nurture it accordingly. It is through the mind that we access the strength to persevere in the face of adversity. Life is not without its challenges, and it is in these moments of struggle that our mental landscape is put to the test. The way we think in these times often determines whether we crumble or rise above. A mind focused on solutions, on learning from mistakes, and on seeing setbacks as opportunities for growth will always find a way forward. But a mind consumed by negativity will often find itself trapped, unable to break free from the cycle of defeat. How we choose to view and react to difficulties shapes our ability to overcome them. The battles fought and won in the mind during times of hardship lay the groundwork for eventual success. Furthermore, the mind shapes the legacy we leave behind. Our mental state affects not just the present, but the future generations as well. The way we think about ourselves and the world influences the way we act, and our actions shape the lives of those around us. If we choose to cultivate a mindset of integrity, kindness, and perseverance, we influence others in positive ways, whether through our children, friends, colleagues, or community. The way we live and the choices we make reflect the thoughts that we hold dear, and in turn, those who witness our journey may be inspired to adopt similar attitudes. The impact of a strong, positive, disciplined mind can extend far beyond ourselves, creating a ripple effect that touches the lives of many. But perhaps most importantly, our minds determine our overall sense of purpose and fulfillment. It is through our thoughts that we define what success means to us, what our values are, and what our goals will be. When our minds are clear and focused on our higher purpose, we are able to make decisions that align with our true calling. We become more intentional about how we use our time and energy, investing them in pursuits that bring us joy, fulfillment, and meaning. Our mind becomes a compass, guiding us toward a life that reflects our deepest aspirations. Without a clear and disciplined mind, we can easily drift, unsure of where we are headed or why we are doing what we do. Ultimately, the battle within the mind is one that we must fight every day. It is a continuous process of choosing thoughts that serve us, letting go of those that hold us back, and cultivating mental habits that empower us. While we may not always have control over the challenges life throws our way, we have complete control over how we respond to them. We can choose to approach life with a mindset of growth, resilience, and possibility, or we can choose to succumb to negativity and fear. The outcome of our lives is determined by the choices we make in each moment, and those choices are born from the thoughts we allow to take root in our minds. By taking charge of our minds and choosing to focus on what serves us, we create a powerful foundation for success, happiness, and personal growth. The battles we fight within ourselves are not in vain, for they shape not only our present but also the future we build. The mind as the ultimate battleground is where the greatest victories can be won. And when we choose to win those victories, we create lives that reflect the strength, resilience, and potential we carry within us. In the end, it is the mind that determines the course of our lives, and by mastering it, we master our destiny.